Real people, real opinions.
Real Talk Radio. The multi-award winning Niall Boylan Show.
Ireland's classic hits.
Lots and lots of people are suggesting that there should be a small fee. And I'm going to read this out to you, okay, first of all, so you know exactly what I'm talking about, okay? We're talking about Stephen Donnelly, who I don't like to talk about too much, by the way. But anyway, I just don't get Stephen Donnelly. Just me and him. I just a little story, but during COVID, of course, for the second half of COVID, he was the Minister for Health, if you remember. Do you remember that? He was the Minister for Health at the time. Well, during COVID, I remember before COVID-19, when Simon Harris was Minister for Health during the start of COVID-19, I couldn't get Stephen Donnelly off the air because, of course, at the time he was looking for the job. He was on the air with us regularly, all the time, telling us everything that was going wrong and how he'd sorted it all out. He was then appointed Minister for Health, and we couldn't get him on the air. He avoided us at all costs, and we haven't had him since. We're obviously on his blacklist or something now, so I don't particularly care. Anyway, that was a bit of a backstory. Too much information. Anyway, Health Minister Stephen Donnelly pledged in the October budget to expand free doctor visits to all 6 and 7-year-olds and to those with a mean household income of €46,000. So that means if you earn less than 46 grand in your household, you'll now go onto the free GP list. That's what they're hoping anyway. However, many GPs are opposing this, claiming expanding free care would overwhelm practices, which are already overwhelmed, and lead to even longer waiting times, which at the moment are 2 weeks on average. Now, the minister said he does not agree expanding free healthcare would result in overwhelmment. He actually said that the deadline to achieve the extension will not be met. He says he still wants it to happen, but it will take additional time. Now, what I want to know is, now, look, I would love free GP care for everybody, as they have in Northern Ireland and the United Kingdom, across the United Kingdom, because that's the way it should be, because you're paying your PRSI. But we live in Ireland. It's a smaller economy. We don't have the money to do that right now at this very moment in time, and we don't have the amount of GPs that we need. And I remember once talking to a GP receptionist, a girl I knew, and she said, in the mornings in the GP services, the majority of people are people with medical cards. And she said most of them actually don't even need to be there. A sniffle or a child with a snotty nose, or they just don't need to be there. Now, I'm not suggesting people shouldn't go to the doctor if you're concerned. Of course you should. But just don't need to be there. Whereas your average person who doesn't have free GP care thinks twice about going to the doctor because it costs 60 quid. So maybe, and here's just a maybe, a 10 or 20 euro per visit for everybody. And I mean everybody. So just to stop people wasting time. So even if you have a medical card, you pay a tenner for a doctor's visit. That means you won't be wasting their time with silly stuff. Oh, my back is still sore. I was imaging 3 weeks ago. I think I have a pain in my left arm, but there's nothing wrong with it actually. But I think I have a pain in it anyway. This kind of stuff that's can be sorted out without actually going to a GP at all. I have a bit of a headache. I have a cold, doctor. By the way, can I just say, the job as a GP is the easiest job in the world. You sit there, people come in, they tell you what's wrong with them. I have a pain in my knee, doctor. Yeah, you have a pain in your knee. You know what's wrong with it? No, I have no idea what's wrong with it. So I'm going to send you to see a specialist. Here's a letter. You know what I mean? If they don't know, they just send you to see somebody else. I think I have a cold, doctor. Yeah, I think you have a cold. Here's a prescription for some antibiotics. I think I have a chest infection, doctor. Yeah, so they actually tell you what's wrong with them. I mean, where else? Imagine bringing your car to a mechanic and going, I think the overhead camshaft is gone there. Do you want me to replace it and you can charge me? Anyway, would you agree with an admin charge for GP visits for everybody? In other words, if we all got it a bit cheaper, would you agree with an admin charge, even those on a medical card, or those who are going to be included in this new raft of 800,000 people who will get free GP care from the budget? Do you agree with an admin charge? Say €10 admin charge. Would that be a good idea? Let me know what you think. The number's 087 188 0008. So even if you've got a medical card, whatever it is, an admin charge. Small fee. Yes or no? Let me go to Michael. Michael, you're at Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. How you doing, Michael?
How you doing? Your line's very bad there. I can barely hear you.
Sorry about that, Michael. Just go for it.
Okay. How are you keeping?
I'm grand, Michael. How are you keeping?
Not too bad. Can you hear me, yeah?
I can hear you fine, Michael.
That's grand. Okay. That's the important part.
That is the most important part, yeah.
Damn right it is, yeah.
Yeah. So, Michael, what do you think of a small fee or a €10 fee to stop people wasting time? Or is that a bad idea because some people mightn't have the money?
Well, man, when the girls rang me there, I was kind of thinking, because I hadn't thought about this in a while, but
That's unusual for you, Michael, not to be thinking about things deeply.
but I mean, there's a lot of factors. Like I was just thinking that most of our doctors have left. Right, we've over 100,000 Irish people now living in Australia, and that's growing. Right, Gardaí are leaving to go to live in Australia. Doctors, nurses, all of our best people are going. Right, so we're down on that front, and we've got to be real, we've got a lot of people coming into the country as well.
Yeah.
And they're using up our services too, you know what I mean? But there is a lot of hypochondriacs. Like, I know a lot of Irish people that will go to the doctors for whatever. For company, I think, just for something to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they'll go in and they'll...
What, just to say hello to the doctor, just for someone to talk to?
It's like going out to the bingo or something for them, do you know what I mean?
It's going out to the bingo.
But, they go in and because it's free and they don't have to pay for it, they just do it, you know what I mean? But, if there was some sort of deterrent, not preventing people from getting medical care, but it doesn't have to be a financial deterrent, just make it like, okay, you have to fill out this form that takes you 5 minutes, just annoy them or something, I don't know. Because we're all paying for it, it's coming out.
But why not? Why not? See, if I was the Taoiseach tomorrow or the Minister for Health, I would have free GP care for everybody. Well, not free. Okay, sorry, that's a lie. Because Ireland is a smaller economy. We're not like England. We don't have the population that they have. We don't have the hospital service they have. So we're a smaller economy, and we have to cut our cloth. Okay, but what I would have a situation where even people on medical cards had to pay a small amount of money, not an awful lot, maybe €6-7 or something like that, just for a visit, for a booking charge or administration charge. And I would have everybody pay that, but I would then reduce it for all the rest. So in other words, like if I go to the doctor tomorrow, I have to pay £60. So I shouldn't have to sit at home thinking, can I afford to go to the doctor because I have a bit of a cold? Whereas Mary down the road or Johnny down the road that has a medical card and hasn't got up off his arse in years, doesn't have to think about that. But I understand they can't afford it, but reasonably, sometimes I can't afford it either. You know what I mean? If it's the end of the month, and I shouldn't have to think about that if I'm sick. So I think it should be kind of free for everybody to some degree, but an administration charge, I wouldn't mind paying, say, £20 or £15. You know what I mean? If everybody paid that, including the medical card holders paid a tenner for administration charge, well then it might be cheaper for everybody else too.
Fair enough. But some people are genuinely sick and they're on the medical card and they can't afford.
No, and I agree.
Even a fiver. You know what I mean?
Who can't afford a fiver? Who can't afford a fiver?
Yeah, but if you are genuinely sick, I don't know. I'm just going to pick something out of the area for some mad bronchitis or whatever. I don't know. There's a lot of people out there who have lots of different sicknesses, genuine sicknesses.
No, I know. Yeah, okay.
They can't. They're in the doctors. Like I have a friend, right, who goes to the doctor and he gets one tablet. He gets a prescription for one tablet. And I'm going, you're getting a prescription for one tablet? What's that all about? He says, that's all I can afford and I need the tablet. So there's stuff like that going on,
One tablet, so he can't afford a pack of them. He just gets one at a time.
Yeah, he gets a prescription for one tablet. It's something to do with his blood pressure or something. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's another thing that has to be sorted out, the cost of medication in this country. Again, in the United Kingdom, and I don't want to compare us to the United Kingdom, your prescription and your medication is free.
Yeah, the NHS, but the NHS is having a lot of problems. But they have a massive population. They can
absorb that. Yeah,
they can afford to run that to a degree because the NHS is having serious problems now. It's starting to crumble and fall apart. It was a wonderful thing for quite a while, a good long while, but now it's kind of.
Yeah.
We used to have our nurses and doctors used to go over to the UK. Now their doctors, I believe, don't quote me on it, but their doctors are starting to leave the UK to go away from the stress and go to places like Australia and Canada and all these kind of places where it is kind of, they're working in private places and they're getting treated like gold.
All right, well, hang on. Let me go to Pauline as well. Pauline, you're on Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. How are you doing, Pauline?
Good evening, Niall.
Yeah. How are you, Pauline?
I'm good.
Now, Pauline.
I don't know why you keep that pushing Canada and Australia.
I'm not-
Why are people going there?
I never mentioned Canada or Australia. I mentioned the
No,
UK.
the man who's on Michael, is it?
No, he never mentioned Canada or Australia.
Yeah, both. Yeah, people are all going there. Apparently, he said. Why
Well-
would they be after what's gone on in the last 3 years?
Well, I don't know, but doctors and nurses would be going there because the money is good.
Okay, I was just wondering why.
Yeah. So Pauline, do you think a small administration charge would be a good idea?
I don't know. No, to be honest with you, I think there's an agenda behind everything. All these new ideas and
No, hang on. I know that. Listen,
regulation.
the government are not coming up with this idea. I am.
Oh right. Okay.
Yeah, that's just me because they want to give free GP care to more people, but there isn't really enough GPs. So if we give more free GP care, it's just going to overwhelm the doctors' offices. So I'm suggesting, that's just me personally, I suggested, well, what about a small administration charge for everybody?
But I don't know. I think it's about 50 or 60 or 70 quid or something to go to a doctor now. I don't know. I don't go.
Yeah, but if you had, let's say you had a medical card, do you think if you have a medical card, you should have to
I
pay
think
something?
if you have a medical card, you're dependent on the government. That's the road I wouldn't go down or advise people to go down because that's what the government wants. On the other hand, after what's gone on in this country in the last 2 or 3 years with COVID nonsense, I certainly wouldn't be going to any doctors in any case unless I knew they could be trusted. That's my take on it. I'm just wondering, are they still getting the Viagra on the medical card and
Yeah.
selling it on the black market?
I
Is
believe
that
so.
what's still
Oh,
going on? Well, I believe
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I believe that racket or racketeering was going on specifically to support the pharmaceutical companies and to, I suppose, give them a bigger revenue when it was being given on prescription. I mean, this is to do with activities in your bed. I mean, that's not a medical. I don't consider that a medical situation, although some people do. But I don't think the taxpayers should have to pay for it, especially when it's going out on the black market being sold anyway.
Yeah. So, okay, so even a small charge just to stop people, I suppose, wasting time?
I think they've been encouraged to. I know people who have medical cards and the practice are like pharmacies. Again, supporting the pharmaceutical company.
Right.
I think the whole thing has been abused. That's just my take on it. For people who have to pay the full amount, who in actual fact are going to work and paying tax to pay for the medical cards for those who cannot, for some reason or other, because of disability or illness, can't pay for their own pharmaceutical companies, needs. I think perhaps there should be a reduction in the fee for a person who pays the full whack when they go in, yes, to some degree, because it has been outrageous over the last few years. And I can't imagine why there are so many or few doctors now. But they've been sitting on their behinds the last 3 years anyway.
Well, the problem we have with doctors, unfortunately, in this country is as soon as they qualify, a lot of them, is they leave the country because
But that may
there's better
that may have
opportunities in
been-
other countries for them. That's the problem,
that
isn't it?
may have been the problem. But two of the last countries I would imagine anybody would ever want to go to or need to go to work in that profession after what's gone on in both Australia and is going on, basically holding people down on the streets if they left their home, and in Canada. The last places I would advise, let's say a nephew of mine, if he was in the medical field, to be going to. That they are the last places I'd be going.
And I wouldn't go far to disagree with you, but I'm just saying they see those opportunities and the possibility of earning a lot more money. And that's why if we suddenly add 800,000 people onto the free list, which is what they're planning to do by allowing people who have a household income with less than 46,000, get free GP care, the amount of GPs we have probably won't be able to handle that.
There's not going to be a need for GPs. Your prescription and what you're going to be given as far as your medical requirements will be decided, I think it's by the WHO, the World Health Organization.
Would you stop
or
with
the
Pauline?
CDC.
Pauline, we're
That's-
talking
that's
real terms
fact.
here. We're not going down there.
That's the fact. They're not going to need
yeah.
a doctor.
Okay, so we will still need doctors. What are we all going to do? Are we all going to fly off to the WHO?
Not GPs.
No.
There will be
So where will we go? According to your theory, Pauline, if I'm sick tomorrow, where will we be going?
theory, there would be standardised prescriptions from, I think it is.
No, but how will I know what's wrong with me? So let's say I wake up and I'm feeling sick tomorrow, right? How will I know what's wrong with me?
You will have to go to a doctor, but you might not have to get to visit them. You could do it. I don't know how to do it on on laptops or whatever, and they'll just say this treatment for
Well,
it.
but that's, mind you, the doctor's online or doctor on a telephone, if you know what's wrong with you, if you have a bit of a chest infection, it's not a bad idea. Rather than, wasting a doctor's time in a surgery when you're just going to get a prescription for an antibiotic.
Yeah, well, that's my understanding of how.
Yeah, well, there's nothing wrong with that.
In my opinion, I think there is, because it's the nature of the profession.
Why? I mean, if you know you have a chest infection or you know you have a toothache that needs an antibiotic or something like that, an abscess or whatever it is, you don't really need to go to the doctor. A doctor on the phone, the end of a phone or a video call would be perfectly fine. You describe the symptoms and they just prescribe you an antibiotic. Well, what's the big deal? It's not a conspiracy theory. It's just common sense.
Like you said earlier, you go in and you tell the doctor what's wrong with you, and he tells you this is what you're getting.
Well,
So
I
it's
know, yeah, but
going
why
to-
not just do that on the phone?
Yeah, but
That's okay. I don't see anything wrong with that system, by the way. It's not a conspiracy theory. They do it already. They do it in the UK all the time, and we do it here, actually. Some people will ring the doctor, say what's wrong with them, and the doctor will give them a prescription over the phone. Stay there for a second, Pauline. Hey, I never got to the answer there, what you felt about that. Eamon, you're on Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. How you doing, Eamon?
No, not too bad now. You sound absolutely pristine as well.
Okay.
You're loud and clear.
Oh, that's fine. Thank you. very
Yeah. So, not a chance. I don't see that. There's no sense behind giving free GP care to another 800,000 people. No sense behind it. I pay €70 a GP visit at the moment, right? And it takes me
That's dear enough, isn't it?
It is. Well, that the price is going up everywhere. Like, I mean, you could go to the walk-in clinics, right? And you're paying what, like 55, but
Yeah, I
the
think
easy
my
cost
doctor
was-
is 65. I think 60 or 65, I think was the last time.
Yeah. And the thing is, I can only get back, what, €35 from that from the insurance. But, I mean, for me to get an appointment at the moment, it's absolutely overwhelmed. When you do go in there, even the receptionist did say, I know they mentioned earlier on, but a lot of people come in with medical cards and they don't actually, they might have a cough or a cold. I think the last man was saying they might go in for a chat. And I feel like if you're just going to give everyone free GP care and all that stuff, they'll go in for anything, for a headache, a common cold, things like that. So not a chance. I mean, I'm all in favour of medical cards. They're means tested. If they need a medical card, they'll get a medical card. Doesn't like I don't mind paying. Obviously, I don't like paying €70, but I don't mind paying €70. But putting this, the GPs under more pressure than they're already at. Like, I'm waiting 2 or 3 weeks. What if this comes through and I'm waiting a month to see a GP?
Well, that's the problem. They've said that the average is 2 weeks at the moment, and this would just extend that
100%.
average.
That makes no sense, because then the people that actually need to see a GP, let's say someone with appendicitis.
Well, this is why I said about the charge. And I remember talking about this a couple of years back. We were talking about medical cards, because in Ireland there's 1.2 million medical cards at the moment. I think it's 1.2 million.
Yeah.
And I spoke to this girl who's a receptionist in the doctor's office, and she told me the majority of people that are in there are people with medical cards in the morning, and the place is full of people with medical cards. And she said, I'm telling you now, 80% of them don't need to be here. So I said,
100%.
yeah, I said, well, and there is genuine cases, of course, but I said, well, then why not, like, even a €5 administration charge just to put people off wasting time?
But see, everyone would pay. I mean, if I wanted to go in and waste time, €5 doesn't pay. It's the price of a pint. You're going to pay it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe 10, 15 €15 would probably be a bit better, because at least they're paying something, but not a lot. That might deter them a bit more, like, but it's still not going to. I mean, the amount of people that would actually still go and avail of that free GP care, fair enough, they have to pay that charge. It's still going to, mess the system up. Like, I don't understand in this country why the GP system is the way it is, okay? So instead of bringing in more doctors to kind of alleviate the stress in the system, let's bring in almost 1 million more people to see a GP for free. I mean, if I was a GP sitting inside and I'm dealing with, John up the road who's a sore knee, Mary who's coming in and she thinks that, I don't know, her arm's a bit sore and it wasn't sore last week, but it was fine this morning, but she still wanted to come in and check it out. That kind of way.
Yeah.
And then you see floods and floods of people coming in. You're tired, you're drained, you're stressed out. Then some lad comes in with a tight sensation in his chest, and lo and behold, he's got cancer, but the GP is so overwhelmed and overstressed from seeing people come in with shortness of breath, do you smoke? Yeah, stop smoking. They might miss stuff, things will fall through the cracks. We need to do more for the GPs in this country, not put more work on them. It makes no sense whatsoever.
I mean, Pauline, you're listening to that there. It makes sense. Now, I know you have a bigger theory, Pauline, about the WHO, but just let's park that for the moment. But Eamon is making perfect sense, because there's an awful lot of people who don't need to be there, And then you got a chap or a girl who has a genuine ailment that, if picked up quick enough and picked up properly, could save their life. You know, and they don't get to see a GP, or they're told to wait till next week because there's no appointments. I mean, if we're going to add at least 500,000, well, they reckon between 500,000 and 800,000 people to that list, that's only going to get worse.
Yeah, well, I didn't really have any take or opinion on this, but on your topic, to be honest with you.
I know you just wanted to come on with a conspiracy theory about the WHO.
No, I was called, Niall.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't talk about it.
I know.
No, it's not a conspiracy theory.
It was okay.
I'm telling you what the facts are there. I'm only explaining what I've heard and what I understand, and other people have too.
Yeah, I've heard. I don't know where did you hear it? Facebook or something? Or
oh, no, there's loads of different speakers, doctors, and whatever on different forums.
I've heard some weird shit online as well. You know, some of it's true and some of it's not. You know what I mean? I was only reading online the other day that Obama was a lizard person. You know, I some of it I take with a grain of salt. You know what I mean? And
I don't know what that means.
No, I'm just saying, you know, Pauline, not everything you read on the internet's true.
No, I'm talking about doctors like Peter McCullough, like Dr. Baxby. Like, I'm talking about people who are even retired from the profession, who are explaining things. So people who are discussing somebody being...
You're saying that they're going to get rid of the GP system as it stands and there'll be no more GPs?
From what I understand, they're not...
So where are the GPs all going to go? The GPs that exist?
I don't really know, Niall. I'm only learning about...
Oh, well, Pauline, you're not... with a great respect, that makes absolutely zero sense. I understand the point you're making.
No sense whatsoever.
I understand about streamlining stuff and doing stuff on video call and phones more often. If it's something that can be dealt with over the phone, that should be. But the idea that they're going to get... The WHO want to get rid of GPs... I don't know where they're all going to go.
That's ludicrous. That's absolutely ludicrous. They do not want to
that's what you said, Pauline.
No, what I'm saying is they won't be needing the amounts that they used to have. That's not going to be. It's not going to be a requirement to have as many.
GPs.
That's my understanding of. No, because you won't be going to.
So who are they going to talk to on the phone? If they're going to, as you say, if they're going to do video calls and phone calls rather than face-to-face visits, who are they going to do these video calls and phone calls with? AI.
I presume to that. I presume, I don't know.
To a GP.
Right about that. Who knows? I don't know, Niall. I'm only telling you what I've been learning.
Okay. Well, Pauline, we're going down a different avenue there, and maybe that's not the avenue we should be going down. But Eamon, anyway, sorry. I'm completely lost now.
I'm flabbergasted.
Yeah, I'm blown away by that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do know that things will advance. And by the way, she is right. Maybe in 20 or 30 years' time, AI will take over and be able to, look at diagnoses or, and by symptoms or whatever it is. It'll be easier to do all that kind of stuff, hopefully correctly and accurately. And phone calls and video calls will be something that will be used more often because a lot of people don't need to go to the doctor. A phone call.
100%.
Yeah, a phone call saying I need an antibiotic will do the trick. Stay there. Let me go to Joe as well. Joe, you're in Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. How you doing, Joe?
Good evening, Niall. How are you?
How you doing, Joe?
Good, very good. I can hear you perfect. Your line is brilliant.
Thanks very much. Are we all emphasising this now? Because the first two callers earlier on said it was shite. So we're all emphasising.
Well, I was listening to you a while ago, Niall. I could hear you perfect. I think what's wrong is some of the people that we ringing, their phones are the problem.
I think it's their ears. Is it? Maybe they need to go and see a doctor, Joe. Yeah.
Or something I'd say.
So, Joe, is it a good idea to have a small administration charge? Or, as Eamon said, is it madness in the first place to be giving free GP care to more people?
No, I would totally agree with Eamon. I think Eamon is speaking with a bit of common sense for a change, and there's no harm to have a bit of that for once because
on the show,
like there is a total free for all with people going to doctors and going there for the most stupidest things. I've seen it myself over the years. They'd be going in there like you see people there on a Monday morning, they'd go in there, they'd say, oh, I have a pain in my head, I was out drinking last night, that kind of rubbish, that's not acceptable, that's a waste of time. You have to have, in this day and age, you have to have some sort of a fee. You can't have a free-for-all, because if you start having a free-for-all, you know what's going to happen. You're going to go down the road of total ruin,
Yeah, I do think, Eamon, the fee, and I understand what you're saying, there are genuine people on medical cards who genuinely need free service, who don't have the money, and I think we can identify those people who have a problem or a terminal issue or something like that They have to be identified.
Yeah.
Or people who have diabetes or asthma, or people who have, a condition that, inflames every now and again. But generally speaking, I think there should be a charge. You can't, as Joe says, have people sitting in there on a Monday morning with a hangover. You know what I mean? Because that's what happens invariably.
It's a waste of time. It's just putting more pressure on, and our health system can't handle that. You see the way it is over the last couple of years. It's inundated now with the amount of appointments going on. So
They
I
did
think it should
research in the Matter A&E going back about 5 or 6 years ago. Remember, we talked about it on the air at the time when we were talking about a similar topic.
Yeah.
And they did research over the course of a week in the A&E. And they said that the majority of people coming in and out of A&E, A, were on medical cards, and B, were repeat visitors that week. And a lot of them had drink and drug problems. So
Yeah.
the problem was, it was just a lot of people wasting time.
wasting time. Yeah, exactly.
I'm not
And
saying
then-
all
And
of
we're going to
them.
get more of that if it's made free.
Well, yes, and that's why I'm saying, Eamon, it should. I'm in agreement with you. It should never be free.
Yeah, and I'd be agreement with that too. I would, yeah, for once.
Yeah, unless
Because I think we can't-
the person had a condition, that needed to be seen.
Yeah.
on a
Oh,
regular
well,
basis.
look, if someone has a genuine
100%.
situation, that's a different thing altogether, yeah.
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 And let the doctor, actually,
it's
why
like-
not let the GP decide? The GP is a very good decider of that. If it's somebody and he believes they didn't need to come into a doctor, they had a bit of a cold or something like that, well, then he puts it down and says, right, yeah, you owe us €7 for today's visit, administration charge. Whereas if it's a genuine
that would be a
person.
fair, good idea as well, yeah.
Yeah, whereas a genuine person with a genuine illness, well, then they don't get charged. I mean, that there has
Exactly,
to be
yeah.
common sense about this.
That makes sense.
Oh, they
That
do,
makes
yeah.
sense,
You have to have common sense, of course.
Yeah. Sorry, Eamon,
And
what did
that
you
is
say?
the problem. There's a lot of people who just deliberately waste time, and they're just a bloody nuisance more than anything else,
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I want to go to Patrick as well. Say there, Eamon. Patrick, you're on Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. How you doing, Patrick?
How you doing, Niall? Yeah, I was listening to the thing driving home in the car myself. It's down at the gym, and they do a 20. I'm a senior citizen, 67,
Yeah.
and they do the thing there, the passport for leisure thing. It's only £20 a year and stuff like that. But that's a great help out to a guy like me. Like, I haven't got millions, but the bottom line is that you've got people out there that might be abusing the system, but the majority of pensioners out here are scraping the pennies together to keep their existence going.
Well, I think. Well, hang on. With the greatest respect, I think we would have to waiver certain people. If you're over 65, I think we would have to look at that situation as well. But we need a different system, Patrick.
You have to put a waiver on people that are gone over the pension age because it's literally pennies. I don't mind sharing this with you. It's a pretty personal thing. I take Altroxin medication for a thyroid problem, and I have to get 150 micrograms every month. And your man says to me, yeah, that's €3 for that. And I said it's all Altroxin. I thought it was only 150 per transaction. He says, oh no, it's 2 because you get 100 millimeter, you get 100 microgram tablet and 225 microgram tablets. That's 2 transactions. That's why you're paying €3. And I said, well, how do I pay €1 here? Well, if you take all 25 microgram tablets, 25 microgram tablets a day, and don't take any, don't buy any 100. I says, well, give it all to me at 25.
That sounds daft.
€1.50 a month, and that's what it is. It's down to pennies and halfpennies for pensioners out here, and there has to be some kind of an exemption if they're thinking of bringing it in to stop other people from taking the mick. The rest of us out here are struggling on pension.
Yeah, and by the way, that's a whole other conversation. Is the cost of medication in Ireland is just outrageous. And as you probably know, and all of you know, I'm up and down to the north all the time. And I spend most of my time in the north now. But in saying that, like, just a simple example, a box of paracetamol down south, €4.50, €5, whatever it is in the shop, 50 pence up here. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying...
50 pence?
50 pence.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's some difference.
It's unbelievable, the difference in the cost. It was like Sudafed, paracetamol, ibuprofen, Nexium, which I take for my stomach. All those, the price is a quarter what it is in the Republic of Ireland. And I don't understand why. It couldn't be the currency. It couldn't be just the taxes. It's because it's controlled. It's to do with the medical board, and it's controlled down south.
Yes, definitely, 100%.
Yeah. So, but there's no reason for that. We're talking about people's health here, And as you know, in the north, nobody pays for medication if it's prescription. So you wouldn't get charged your prescription. So you get your prescription from the doctor. It's sent automatically to your nearest chemist. You just go and collect it for free. That's just the way it is for everybody. So
Thanks very much for letting me on there, Niall, anyway.
All right, no problem, Patrick.
God bless.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Bye-bye.
Short and sweet.
Real people, real opinions.
Real Talk Radio. The multi-award winning Niall Boylan Show.
Ireland's classic hits.
McCarthy Insurance Group, serving the community for over 70 years. For home, farm, motor, life, health and business insurance, log on to mig.ie or free phone 1800 50 11 11. Probably your best call in 2024. Charles McCarthy Insurance is trading as McCarthy Insurance Group, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.